over the ground that Skip and Paul already covered with XPLOR. Again, it's been an evolution since 1979. We went through the nonprofit into the Electronic Document System Association. But if you did any of the sessions in our current international conference, you know that we're evolving rapidly into this client communication, customer experience. We're getting to AI, multi-channel. It's the reality is human communication is rapidly evolving, and some of it's been driven by the pandemic. So we're definitely part of that. So again, if you can, I know it's past midnight in India, but if you can attend any sessions at the conference, I do recommend just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I did AI, I did accessibility, I did customer experience. So it's just really again an eye opener. I'm learning as well. So this is an amazing field. Just to talk about some of the things that we do with the student chapter at Ryerson. One of the things we're looking at is the certification program for XPLOR. Right now, if you're a member of the Ryerson student chapter, you can apply up to 4 years of your dues towards your EDA, which is the Electronic Document Association. That's our entry-level certification for XPLOR. The thing is, normally you need 2 years work experience for this, but we've decided that 4 years of university is about equivalent to that. So you can actually get this certification as you graduate from most universities. So this is a very good deal. Basically, our dues are $25 US a year. The fee, I think, is $150. So basically, for $50 US, you can get a certification as you graduate. So I think that's pretty cool. After 5 years in this field, you can get into the electronic document professional, which is what I have. I've certified 4 times now. I tell people the only things I really care about in this world are my Ryerson IT diploma and my EDP certificate. So those really do matter to me, and I'm very proud of those 2 things. Our high PhD level certification would be the Master EDP. There's a handful of these. Paul is one, Paul Abdul. These are people who have contributed to our book of knowledge and have written material and contribute to the field. So, MEDP, I'm debating whether to write mine. I think I can apply for it, but that's our top level certification. Now, what we're doing is we've just put a survey out. We're going to try and evolve our certification, again, because of the changes in the industry. We've just put a survey out. We're not sure what we're going to call it. It'll be either business communication professional or client communication professional. And this is more to reflect the nature now with the multi-channel web design, mobile design, so on and so forth. So we're going to advance our certification program. So we're actually working on that right now. I think that's interesting stuff. Just some of the things that we do with XPLOR Canada, which I'm president of XPLOR Canada, the main body. We look after Ryerson XPLOR as the student chapter. We have a very good close relationship. We help organize events for them. We obviously have things like webinars going on. Those are continuing. Because of COVID, some of the other things are sort of on hold. We usually do a November event for XPLOR Canada that the student chapter attends. It's cool. It's a Woodbine racetrack here in Toronto. It's the running of the Queen's Plate. I think she's actually been out once, but that's a very prestigious race. We do socials. There's the Miller Tavern. We have a little drink up around Christmas time. We're no longer allowed to call it Christmas. It's a holiday festival or something. We have to be politically correct. The XPLOR conference, obviously, we were going to run it in St. Petersburg. It didn't happen. So we're hoping to get back on that in April 2021. What we usually do is we give platinum passes out so that students can attend for free. If you're a first-time attendee, you get a freebie. It's a great time. It's an amazing time. Some of the other things, we organize events for them. That's the picture down there is actually the Heidelberg Center, which is the main building for the GCM school in Toronto. We organize events. Some of the things we've done plant tours with very sophisticated digital and production print operations like R.R. Donnelly. And at the other end of the spectrum, we took them up to the CNIB Accessibility Lab here, Canadian National Institute for the Blind. Very amazing experience because our students learned about working with the blind and the visually impaired and things like Braille and so on and so forth. We're actually very close to getting internships in there. So we're going to probably put a couple of Ryerson students in there as interns so they can learn about accessible solutions. So this is pretty amazing stuff. So we usually run 2 or 3 of these events for them, coordinate with them. We also have panels. And Ryerson chapter is very, very active. They're one of the most active XPLOR chapters there are. To talk about the Intercollegiate Design Contest, I'm trying to get Sadie, hopefully Sadie showed up, get her to take over and talk about this. I don't want to steal her thunder. What the contest has been run the last 4 years with Cal Poly, that's California Polytechnic out in St. Louis Obispo in Northern California. These guys are very good. They know their stuff. What happens is you'll see a very plain Jane document on the left, and that has to be redesigned to be something a lot more, I don't know, interesting, responsive, whatever you want to call it, for the client. So it's an amazing contest. My role, all I'm trying to do is I bring in some technical standards for them. If they have to do a male version, it might need MICR lines on it. So I'll tell them about the standards. If they're doing accessibility, so on and so forth, they may need barcodes. I'll tell them about that. So my job is to make sure that they're technically correct, but the design is all up to the students, and they usually blow people away. It's the most, when we're running the live conferences, the contest, the intercollegiate contest, is the most well-attended event we have at XPLOR, because people come and they're just amazed at what the students come up with. They definitely think outside the box. So we're hoping you guys will come in for 2021. It's just an amazing way to learn. I'm hoping Sadie will get into it. I hope she shows up. Some of the other things we're doing, we have scholarship programs. What we try to do is every year we hand out a little bit of money. It's not a huge amount of money, but we do try to recognize students that are in the print and digital field, CCM field. So we hand out a little bit of money. We kind of suspended it this year, obviously, because of the COVID, but we're hoping to get back at it for next year. And I think that's what I have to say. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. So I'm hoping Sadie shows up, so she'll get in.
Michael, you have her number? Do you want to give her a quick call?
See if she's
She's okay.
Yeah, I told her it was tonight. Let's see if I can get it to the share.
But I sent her a calendar invite.
Yeah, I don't have a phone number on this. Yeah, I don't have it. Unfortunately, I don't have it. So she hasn't shown up. Okay. I might see if I can get into the share, but.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I was on a call with Dutt. So he said he'll join in another 15-20 minutes. Yeah, so are we waiting for her?
Yeah, we're just going to do, hang on.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So while we're waiting, Mother, I don't know if you can poll the students if there are any other topics that you'd like to know more about. Um,
Yeah.
and,
Shikala? Shikala, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, Manish, this is Shikala, one of our faculty members. She's
Good
also an
morning.
alumni of our department. So she has taken a survey of what are the other topics which the students would like to be taught or have sessions on. So can you just brief them? Till then I'll just coordinate with Guru.
Yeah. The topics which I gave to students were mostly related to industry 4.0 and then color expertise and packaging solutions, smart packaging. So these topics which I shared with the students uh, uh, for our third session which we had last Thursday. So the topics I'll give you the topics which I asked them, and then we can see what we can think about. All right. So topics given were industry 4.0, then print stimulators, then digital packaging, color appearance, future of packaging, digital prepress, importance of data security in printing companies, higher education in printing and packaging, and future of packaging, like smart packaging or yeah, smart packaging basically. So out of which industry 4.0 and color appearance and higher education got the maximum votes from the students, but on an average almost I have response of like 40 students, and like almost I have a response for all the topics. At least 20% of students have voted for all the topics, because I asked them to vote as many as they like. So I mean, and I think right now they are in the phase like whatever they are willing to learn, they can learn. So yeah.
yeah. So while we're waiting, maybe we can pick a topic or two and address those out of this. So I think one that obviously is close to me, I can relate to is higher education,
Right.
and would love to see what kind of questions do students have, or has anybody explored already various universities? Are there specific questions about that?
Right.
Or I can just share about my journey, but love to start with any questions that you have.
Manish, I found the Ryerson contest share. So if you want me to walk through some of that.
Yeah, maybe Michael can cover just one quick since he started that in 5 minutes. And
Okay, do you want me to show that? Okay.
yeah, just 5 minutes. Yeah. So we can do a deeper dive on higher education as well. But does anybody have any specific questions?
Right.
And you can put it in the chat if you like.
Okay, can everybody see my Google Drive screen?
Yeah, Michael, can you
Yeah.
give me 5 minutes?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Okay, so I'll be quick.
Manish, most of the
Should we click on it?
students learn the foreign language, and which is Germany.
Okay.
So, what do you suggest? Is it good enough, or is higher education in the US a better option, or higher education in Europe, especially Germany, is a better option?
So great question. I think printing generally we tend to think about Germany first because just the industry over there is more mature and so on. I would say if you take the printing component out, and I'm slightly biased towards US obviously because I came here, I was also faced with that question, and I was uncomfortable just because of language first, even though we could learn German as a separate language, but comfort level in English, that was my reason to stick with US. But I think globally, US in terms of higher education, uh, it's hard to beat US, not just in printing, but in general. Now, I think a lot of people get scared or worried about cost, which, regardless of where you go, Germany or Europe or US, especially after the conversion of currency, it's not, it can be scary. But what I also found was that while the cost is equally or more high in the US, there are also a lot of other options to make up for that. So I'll give you an example. I didn't know what was going to happen. I applied. I actually took a loan from the local bank in India, came here. But then typically the university assigns an advisor to you. And I was very upfront with the advisor and it said, hey, limited resources, I'm going to need help. And how can you guide me? So I ended up actually multiple sources. First of all, I had 3 jobs on campus, which is not every country gives you that opportunity. US is really open and they actually expect you to work while you're on campus. So jobs there are different kinds of jobs. So you can work in the campus somewhere, like in a cafeteria and so on. What I did was there was a there were 2 or 3 jobs that I did. One was managing the electronic publishing lab. So this is a digital prepress lab where the students would come to do their homework or use Photoshop, Pro Express, and they needed somebody to manage the shift. And I had just worked at Thomson Press, so I was fresh, and helped with the prepress department there. That came naturally to me. So that's where that was my main job, and that really helped me really pay for my rent and food, and I didn't have to use my loans for that. The second job that I took was at least at RIT, and again, if you really want to go out and you want to go to US, well, Ryerson, Canada, setting that apart, RIT, we all know, even at that point, that was like the number one option. It's like the Harvard of printing that you can go to. It's also at that time because Kodak and Xerox were based out of there, and Rochester is still known as the imaging city of the world because of Rochester Institute of Technology, which is RIT. If students don't know about much, I would encourage you to look it up. It's rit.edu and look at the printing and graphic communication programs over there. So they also have a large school where it's meant for people who cannot see or hear, deaf and dumb, actually see or speak. So as you can imagine, if they're taking notes, they miss the class. So one job that I did was taking notes for those people. And it was awesome because I got to attend classes for free because I was taking notes, but I was actually getting paid for it. But the big piece was the advisor really helped me get 2 projects with local printing companies. Those were research projects, and they actually essentially paid for one of my entire semester. So my point is that while the fee seems high, I would recommend not to get discouraged with it. There are ways to handle it, and start to learn if you're really keen on coming to the US. Start to learn about what does it take to do that. My biggest hurdle was getting a visa because the US consulate in India is not easy. It's not like you can't just get a student visa easily, and you have to go with a student visa. And then slowly, once you finish your education, you typically find a job, you move on to a work visa, and then eventually you apply for a green card, and then you eventually apply for a citizenship if you want to do that. That's a long journey, a lot of patience required. But to answer your question, my main factor was language, and then I knew that you could do on-campus jobs, and that was my reason. Plus, I was really had my mindset on RIT. I didn't even apply anywhere else. So different factors there, but I think between Germany and US or even Canada, language is a huge plus. You're not starting from scratch in that case.
Right, right. That's correct. And actually, now what has happened is, I think RIT has has no longer the department of printing. I think they only operate the packaging department. So I think most of our students are also applying for the packaging department, the packaging program at RIT and at Western Michigan. These two and Clemson. So these three universities are kind of the most sought after colleges, universities by the students here in India. It could be our college or it could be any other printing college in India.
Yeah, and to that, I'd say there's a reason that RIT has shifted to different programs. It's not completely away from printing, but it's more in communication and multimedia communication. So, which is the future as well. And it's okay to have engineering and printing and then go and do something slightly different, so that it actually broadens the horizon as well. So while you can apply for printing colleges, but I would not get discouraged again with the programs that RIT has, which might actually add to what you've already learned. Because I felt honestly after COET and then working at Thomson Press, there were a number of classes that I took at RIT that I felt like I was repeating because I'd already learned that. That if you're in a different program, that problem goes away. You know, you're focused on learning something new in that case.
Correct. That's right.
Although I would say packaging is a really growing, fast-growing space, while printing may be, in some cases, at least in US, getting replaced by electronic media, packaging is not. Packaging is actually growing. I'm in the e-commerce space, as I shared on the first session. So even with e-commerce, you have to pack the items to go and deliver that. So it's a big area that we have to solve constantly, making sure if it's food, how do you come up with packaging that can maintain the temperature for longer time, for example? Or branding is a big piece of it. How do you design a box and make sure that the branding colors are appropriate and so on. It's packaging will continue to be a big field as well. So I think doing printing and then getting masters in packaging would also be a very strong combination for future.
And what about functional electronics or printed electronics? Do you have any idea about that? How is the scope there in the US?
So I think that's a different path that would go into more on the manufacturing side of printers. And I would encourage us to think about, okay, if you do that, what kind of companies would hire you 5 years from now, let's say. And so then the companies like HP and Xerox and Konica Minolta, these are the companies that pop up. So that's a different path, more on the engineering side, to focus on manufacturing and design of the actual hardware.
Right. Because we have a course on that in the final year. It's an elective. But students do seem to have an inclination and they want to learn on printed electronics and as you said, the fabrication and manufacturing of the electronic circuits, but through screen printing or electronic components via screen printing, or now I guess we have inkjet printing, which is also being used for this.
Correct. So the PCBs and actually using printing for creating those.
Right.
I think it has a lot of scope, but it does force you to focus on one area versus a broader. So that may be the reason why students don't go for it. I think 3D printing, I don't know if that's part of the course.
We haven't, but maybe we might have eventually, since it's being taught in other colleges and other courses, other programs. And I don't know, so what is the scope in the US? So if do we really include that course?
3D printing has a massive scope in future. So I think it's important to have that in part of the course. It will be a huge plus. And because it uses the basics of printing, but 3D printing can be applied in any industry across the board, depending on what is needed. So, even in manufacturing, I've been exposed to 3D printing many years in different applications as well. So I think that's an important topic for sure. And I think the other one would be, that's the reason I suggested bringing EFI. So Michael, we have somebody from EFI presenting today as well, because I felt that when I was at COT, we didn't learn enough about workflows and software, but it was too soon as well. I think we didn't even learn anything about digital printing at that time. It was only when I got to RIT. So the workflows are equally, if not more important than digital print. And when I say workflows, it's, yes, file creation and the software that is required to create variable data, but how do you transfer those files? And the RIPs are still raster image processors, which are part of every printer. Those are still integral part of it. That those are the software that converts PostScript to pixels. You eventually do print pixels. I'm sure the students know this. So that's the reason I don't know if the coursework has something on digital workflow or not.
They do.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So that's an important area as well to cover for sure. And pretty common at RIT, for example, we were taught to program in PostScript. So I don't know if that.
Okay.
So I don't know if students learn how to write PostScript as well. That was a fascinating experience for me to learn. We had learned C programming and so on, basic in C and so on, but to be able to actually program PostScript and learn how that language is then being converted to dots and pixels while print works, that was a great course as well.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think Shrikala, that isn't taught, right? Writing.
Sorry, ma'am. I was like the voice was breaking.
Yeah. So PostScript, we aren't covering anything on PostScript, right? Much.
We are giving them a practical experience, like how to convert the file into a PostScript and then see the separations and all, like how to generate the PDF after the PostScript is created. Like we save the file as PS and then they convert that to a print ready PDF. So the practical knowledge they have, and some of the theories covered in the lectures as well.
Yeah, the class was called Document Processing Languages, and in that we learned how to actually write small half a page of PostScript code, so we understand what's going on. And then we also learned about XML, DTD,
Right.
different types of communication languages. That was just one full course. That was one of my favorite 2 courses that I can never forget. It was that, and the other one was color management. Because we did learn color management at COT, I didn't really completely get it until I went to RIT, and it was just a different level altogether. We learned about
we only studied color reproduction at that time,
right.
And then but you were right. We never followed it. And now color management, actually we got to know color management because of Dr. Abhay Sharma. He visited our institute in 2006, I think, and 2004. And then he introduced that topic to all of us, and then he taught us for those 2 days. I remember a very intense session on color management, and that's how then the ball started rolling on color management at PVG, and then suddenly we were all aware of color management. That was fun.
Right. I mean, even the basics of CMYK and the subtractive theory wasn't clear when we were studying. So it's great to hear that those are some of the basic topics that really help you in the book.
Yeah, and I think learning a programming language, or like as you said, some of the XML or the LaTeX or Python as well, now in coming days when the data learning is an important part, I mean that should be taught to student as well, not as a full-time course, but they have to do some courses on those lines as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can definitely spend more time on these topics in the future. I think packaging would be a great seminar topic as well. She said.
Yeah.
So
I'll get
Michael,
more feedback from the student, and then I'll let you know.
Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Students, do you all have any other questions? Also, or we can move on with
okay. Do you
Michael.
want me to do a quick walk through the contest?
Yeah, sure.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
please.
Okay.
Yeah.
And while we're listening to Michael, please feel free to text any questions you might have.
Okay, everybody, can you see my Google Drive? Okay, this is the design contest from 2017, 2018. I thought this would be a good example. Basically, what XPLOR International gives the schools is this very, can everybody see that? Very plain Jane, very boring, not terribly readable. In this case, this year, this contest year was a bank statement. This is actually a horrible, not terribly readable bank statement. So that's what they're given to the universities to work with. So that's given to them. Just to show you some of the rules, I believe this is. I don't want to get anybody intimidated here, but this is quite a. I think it's the best university contest there is in my mind. These are the things that we're scoring on, things like appearance, organization, topography, color, et cetera, things like production automation. And again, this year we have bonus items, accessibility, and additional design considerations, but trans promos in this case. So they were actually given a profile of this bank client, and they were expected to use this information. So if you've seen that, okay, so that's the plain Jane, very vanilla, very boring, unreadable bank statement. And just to show you what some of the teams came up with, just to give you some examples. So here's so they've redesigned it. Again, what they're trying to do is do things like design it so it's visually compelling, draws your eyes to key information, does a much better job of presenting it. For example, you see at the bottom where there's a mailing stub. This is actually the paper credit card statement. You can see that the balance is in red, just to draw your eye to, gee, you owe the bank some money, please pay this off. We've added things like barcoding for this is what you call in our business OMR, optical recognition marks, for help sorting it into envelopes. They've put a lot of design thought into accessibility with the color. They make sure that the color contrast is not too bad for the visually impaired. They've obviously picked their fonts very carefully. Technical standards. They've got the postnet codes for especially in the United States, you have zip codes. There'd be a postnet code for the zip code. Since this stub is coming back through the banking system, they've actually got a microline. So they have to get their micro standard. That's magnetic ink character recognition, which is used by the banking systems around the world to help expedite payments. So they've done a lot of work here. They've got extra stuff they've added for the client. One of the things they've done here is a little bit of trans promo. They obviously had a profile of this client. Maybe they were a young couple with children, so what they did is they put information on a registered education savings plan, a RESP, so that this bank can actually sell this product to their client. Again, that's using transactional data. That's variable data print, where you take that profile and you actually use that profile for something good, so that the bank can actually target that client. Some of the other things they worked on is this would be an example of a mobile application sign-in panel that they worked on. A lot of these are just mock-ups, so they're not actually writing a mobile app. They're just showing examples of what some of the screens would look like. So they're trying to get the branding very similar across the line. Again, we're trying to do multi-channel delivery. Here's a bit of, I think there's some website. Again, this would be a website interpretation of the same thing. Again, we're into the world of customer experience and multi-channel delivery. So what's interesting is they have to work as a team. So what they do is This contest is sponsored by Scott Drager of Quadient. Scott Drager is an MEDP. He absolutely believes in it. He says that any students that go through this contest, companies would pay a lot of money to have an old application redesigned. Usually with companies, it may take 6 weeks, $5 million and 10 people, and then maybe that's even optimistic, to redesign applications in this manner. So the students, they learn how to work as a project team. And Scott said, I would hire anybody in any of the universities who went through this contest, because you're doing what companies need people to do. This is not an easy thing to do. It's an incredible experience for the students. So Scott and I agree, you're instantly hireable in business if you go through this contest. It's absolutely well worth it. So what you're going to learn. So that's one of the teams, just to show you one of the teams. And if we look at the other team, maybe a little bit different take on it. Again, they had a little bit different flavor. See if this will come up. Okay, so they've done a little bit different. This is their mobile screen. They got a beautiful mountain in the background. Sign on with your account. Again, these are just mock-up screens. They're not actually writing the application, but they're just showing how a mobile version of this thing would work. So pretty interesting stuff. Again, they've got the name of their client, showing the account balance. Click to see their statement. So this is a mobile version, something that will come up on a phone. So it's kind of cool. Beautifully done. And we'll go back and look at, just look at the traditional. If we look at the traditional statement. So this is a paper version. They've got a QR code there, which is interesting. The advantage of using a QR code, it's a small footprint barcode, but you can cram a lot of data into it. This could be for OMR, for optical recognition and sorting it. It also could be used for accessibility, which is interesting. So again, that's a great way to put accessible information on a piece of paper. So they've done a lot of work here. It's a little bit different look. And here's an interesting thing that they're trying to say. They've got a little reward program going here. So they're showing how you're earning points on your reward program. Again, most banks and financial institutions will have something like that. So they've got some very, very cool way of things that they're doing here. Again, they did the same kind of thing. They profiled the client. Obviously, they were, I think it was a young woman with a family, and they used that to do a little trans promo, selling some financial package to this young woman. So, which was kind of interesting. So this is a little bit different take. They've highlighted the point balance that they've created something called Yes Points. So you're earning points at the bank by doing things. So a little bit different take. Again, they've got a mic line because this is a paper version. So I thought that was kind of cool. So every team has a little bit different take. It's interesting to see. Again, fabulous designs from Cal Poly as well. So this is their version of a web page. So same thing. It's to take that information, the account information from that original bank statement, and present it on the web in a little bit more interesting and accessible format. Again, it's very cool. They've got a little barcode, and you're earning your points as you're doing things with the bank. So I thought that was kind of amazing. So that's their take on it. So again, the idea of the contest is take that very vanilla paper statement and design it across the different channels. So again, what we're starting with is very, very crude and almost unreadable. So the students just did an amazing job. Later design contests, we're getting more into I don't know if they've got the latest or the greatest, but they're getting more into, again, we're talking about accessibility. Let's see if we can see what's here. Again, this last year I think was a water statement. So it was the XPLOR Water Department, and so this is actually a water bill. So they've taken that again. You know, they're using red to highlight. You know, geez, please pay this. There's actually cognitive studies that if you do techniques like this, people actually pay their bills earlier. You know, when you've got millions of dollars in income, you know, in these bills represented by these bills, getting your payments early is a very good thing. So there's actually design principles that you can adopt to get people to pay their bills on time. So this is very good stuff. So again, what Cal Poly did was really interesting, and it kind of blew me away because you got to realize that the country in the world that has the most fresh water is probably Canada. And what happens in California, they have water shortages. So one of the things that Cal Poly did that blew everybody away, they actually have water shortage maps built into their applications. I thought that was very cool because obviously that's a problem in California, but it's not a problem here. Nobody in Canada would ever think of this. So I take my hat off to the people at Cal Poly. A tremendous school as well. This is an amazing contest. There are no losers in this contest. What you're going to learn about, again, here's a little mobile app they came up with. Again, these are just screen mock-ups. There's no actual software writing. They're just sort of showing you how their online water bill might work on a phone application. So I thought this was very cool. And again, they're trying to keep very similar branding across the multi-channels. So I thought this is very well done. Again, they've got a water usage across the months. That's kind of cool. Take the information, show when they're they're using their water heavily in March. Maybe it's getting a little warm or something. So very, very, very well done. All these teams, what we find every year is the scoring is so close. It's very, very hard for them to judge. The points are like percentage points apart, and all the teams do a tremendous job. But the amount of learning is incredible, you know. And I agree with Scott. Anybody who goes through this contest, you are an instant hire in this industry. Okay. Has anybody any questions? Sorry if I didn't ask any questions on that. Did I lose everybody? I know that was a lot to take in.
It was wonderful to see those designs transformed totally from the normal look to a wonderfully created design.
They have the design sense. The students, I'm an old techie. I know nothing about design. And my job is really just to give them, technical standards and so on and so forth in the industry. But they come up with they brainstorm all the designs. I might say, check your color contrast, or check your fonts, make sure you get your micro, post that, blah blah blah. But I'm just giving a little bit of guidance in that regard, and the stuff they create is just bloody amazing. It is by far the most well attended. When we're running the live conferences, it's by far the most well-attended session because people from industry just come and they're awed, and these students are hires. They're absolutely, because when you think about it, they've gone through a major redesign process that companies are doing every day worldwide, and if you can do this and work as a team and get that down, you've got a job. So I tell you, it is well worth getting into this contest and going through it.
Yeah, I think it will work out for us also because there are a good number of designers in our department as well. So I think if we can start something like that here, let's see how it can help the students.
Yeah, there is no shame, and I'm absolutely ready. If you guys need some technical coaching, that's something I'm willing to do for you guys, because that's all I'm doing for Ryerson. And again, notion that there's no shame in competing. You'll learn so much.
Right.
It's an incredible experience.
Right. Correct. So, Manish, Guru has joined. Guru Dutt has joined. So, hi, Guru Dutt.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And sorry, my apologies for the miscommunication from my side. So I hope it's not really a problem for you.
No, I think it's good. Okay, at least. Yeah, I have my slides and other thing. We'll try to walk through as much as possible and get some questions and feedback, how it goes.
Okay, so we'll just have a small introduction. So Revati, can you just introduce Guru Dutt to the students?
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute.
So Guru Dutt, we have Manish Kapoor here, who is also from PVG and now in the US.
Hey, Manish.
And
Hi, Guru.
and I
So I was actually one of the largest customers in the US when I was still with FedEx office. So I got to work with Mark Olin and Udi for many years.
That's
And
good.
it was really fascinating. We created a centralized workflow pre-press department
Mhm.
in one place for 1,800 different locations.
Oh, okay.
So all the production files for large quantity runs were managed through the EFI workflow in one location in Plano, Texas. But the production was done in 1,800 locations across the U.S. These were the local printing shops, copy shop. And I don't know if you've been to the U.S. I'm assuming you have. What used to be
Yeah.
Kinko's and became FedEx office.
Yes, FedEx is one of our biggest customer, and currently, yeah, I've been a couple of times visited them, and then we have a lot of interaction with them. We do daily interaction with FedEx actually. That's right.
Yeah, so it was exciting. I reached out to Mark Olin, as their chief operating officer based in the Bay Area, who I work with. And I was telling him about these sessions, and he recommended that we bring Guru in and the rest of the team in India to talk about digital workflow. So we had picked the EFI after looking at 10 different companies for workflows, and I think by far the most advanced digital workflow solutions company in the industry. People may not know that even if you're buying printers, in many cases it's EFI that provides the RIP. When we were talking about converting the PostScript into pixels, So, but RIP is just one piece. That's where EFI started. But over the last many years, they came up with different workflow solutions, and eventually they also got into wide format printing, large format for posters, and there's a company called ViewTech that they acquired. So they're in the US, at least. I think globally, they're known as one of the largest manufacturers of inkjet-based large format poster printing solutions as well. So Guru, I did the introduction for EF. Let me know if it's accurate or not.
No, I think you did a good job. I think it's very cool. I think a couple of things which I would like to add, Manish, here is it's not only on the printing, but we are also on the software side. We have a lot of MIS systems, which is actually a biggest thing which we are using in most of our printing industry currently, so that you can track what's the cost, and you can find out what was the actual cost, and finally what was the profit or a loss, and that's kind of a thing. And we have also have a very good, we call it as a market direct platform, wherein we have web to print solutions, which is mostly used by most of our customers across the globe. We have a lot of customers in US as well as in Asia Pacific and other kind of a thing, where the web to print solution, which gives them a complete front end where they can go and place an order like an e-commerce, like Amazon and other things. That's kind of a thing we have. I'm not fully into the large format, or I would say we have our foot in the tiles, or we call it in the Creda printing. We have it in textile, but I'm basically from the software world, where we are actually developing more of a solution on MIS and then giving in a workflow driven solutions to the customer. That's the world I'm actually. So I may be talking a little bit more on the software, but not on the real printing operations.
Okay, that's right. So, Gurudat, we also have Michael Sutton from Canada. So, yeah, so he's a part of XPLOR also, and he was just talking about how he's helping the students at Ryerson University, Canada, with various XPLOR activities, and in particularly the design competition, which I think is being used for on variable data printing, products for variable data printing. So that's what was the previous part which was going on. So yeah, so we can start with your session. So Revati, yeah, you can go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. Good evening, Michael. Sorry I missed your presentation.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, let me put my screen.
Yeah, Gurudat, I think Revati just wants to introduce you to the students.
Sure.
We have today Mr. Gurudat MS sir. He is the production manager at EFI. He has 22 years of experience in printing industry with over 18 years in print-related software solutions. He has knowledge of software solutions like web to print, designing tools, variable data printing, cross-media, MI systems, etc. He helps customers to automate complete end-to-end digital solutions using EFI systems. Over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Revati. A small correction, but not a major one. But it's not a production manager. I'm actually a product manager. So basically, we take care of different products. I'm actually leading into a web to print solution or a market direct solution as a product manager. Okay, no issues, nothing in that. Let me present now. Just put my screen on it. Can somebody confirm my screen is visible?
Yeah, yes, Gurudat, it's there.
Okay. I think thanks Manish, thanks Revati for introducing. So I don't take much of my time to introduce myself again. So I'm trying to go through or come up with a trend how the we have been hearing about digital printing from quite some years, from ages. But how is it getting changed with the short-run digital printing is what I'm going to talk today or I'm going to cover. There are a couple of areas which I'll be looking at it, like there are 4 or 5 different areas we have been working across with global customers, different things. Maybe it could be in the terms of a books, it could be in terms of a carton labels, marketing collateral, as I mentioned, like tiles, and then maybe it's even in the textiles. So let me start with something which goes with an books, where which is very commonly used. I don't know how many of you would have gone to Amazon and maybe you are trying to purchase a books, like you're going to order in a new book on a printed copy. Many of us thinks that when you go and order in a printed copy, maybe in Amazon has a big warehouse where they go and say that has been all the books has been inventoried, and then they can take some copies out of that inventory and then send it across to you guys, whoever is ordered. That's what you guys think. Do you guys think that is how it works in the back end? Okay, I think all are on mute, but yeah. So, but that's not the reality or how customer don't want to go today. If you ask me, Amazon doesn't going to print all this lakhs of titles and keep hundreds of copies and warehouse them and keep it in a storage. Definitely, they are not going to do that kind of a work. They will just go and say when there is a specific requirement. Let's say I want to print maybe in a new book. They just go on the fly. They go and print that specific book on the demand and then ship them back to the customer. That's the trend, what it's happening. Maybe you guys may be thinking, how is it this happening whole thing? I'll explain in detail, maybe in the workflow in the next couple of slides. That's where it goes, and I can go in deep of how exactly they are doing this. You can also imagine that many times when we go for it, I want to gift a book, maybe it's my son's birthday. I want to say that I want to gift a book, and I want to put my son's photograph on the maybe in a preface or in a cover page. I want to just add in a photograph, and I should be able to personalize it. That's the trend what customers are looking today. So they may say that, okay, I want to print maybe some good maybe Sachin's biography. I want to print that, but on top of it, maybe on the corner, they want to say this was gifted by maybe ABC, and this has a photograph on it. That's kind of a thing which they would like to see. Now, if you ask me, again, will they go to the printing press or will they go to the bookshop, like maybe in some of the bookstores which is there, and then do they go and then say that, okay, this is what we want to do? No. Everybody wants to sit at home, go to like an Amazon or go to any of the website where they can actually go and customize, and they can go and look at the book and they can say, okay, I would like to say this book, maybe I want to keep it for multiple years. I want to customize this and say this should be perfect binded. I don't want it to be in a saddle stage. I can specify what kind of binding, what kind of material or a paper I needs to be used. I need to work on it. That's the kind of a customization which customers are looking today if you go into the market, because they are not expecting a ready book which is available. I can just ship it to you. That's not the kind of a thing which they are looking. So everything they want to customize, taken to the next level, and then say how it goes. If you're going to do all this, will the print shop going to make a profit? Because they're going to customize every book, they're going to print it on the fly, and then will they be able to be profitable, and then goes on that? Is that possible? Today, yes, that's possible if you have an automated solution and software does most of this work. If you have any human beings and then if you have machines and we depend on those, it may not be able to do all this in an efficient manner, and we will not be able to make good profit out of it. So that's going to be the key where EFI actually comes into a picture, is how can we provide a good software? How can we actually provide a good workflow so that it can integrate between multiple systems, and it can also produce on the production, it can produce it quickly, and the customers can, or printers can make a profit out of it. That's where the EFI solutions or EFI comes into picture. For one book, if you see, the first question it comes is order acquisition. Basically, we go into any of the web to print solutions. Like I may go into, we have a lot of web to prints of EFI, so we can go into one of the store. I log in, either it's on mobile, either on the tablet or in the laptop. I can just go and hit the URL. Okay, search for a book which I'm looking for it, and I can say this is the book I'm looking. Maybe I need some customization. I may not need any customization. I can select that and then look at what's the cost of the book, so that I can compare. If I don't find a better cost on one of the website, I can go to the other website, look at what is the cost of the book, and then place an order. That's what people would like to see. EFI has our own web to print solution for that. Once the order has been placed in the backend, we have a lot of workflow systems. What it can do is, once the order comes into the system, it goes to an MIS and say, okay, this order has come in. I need to go and ask my publisher for an approval, because the publisher actually keeps the content or is the owner of the content. So what we can do, what it does is it automatically writes a purchase order to a publisher, ask him, okay, now this is the quantity or this is the request which has come from a customer. I would like to print this, or do you approve for this? The publisher says it's authorized, and moment he says authorized, what it does is it can go and also download the latest version of the content. Maybe there is different versions of the book which comes in. Maybe the latest version of the book we can download, or we can get the PDF file downloaded and then go for it. Once we have this file, and then we have the purchase order rise to a publisher, and we get an author approval, what it happens is in the backend it gets an imposed or a print ready imposition PDF ready, getting ready. So now you guys know what's the imposition mean. So it automatically imposes the all the pages, optimizes the usage, and say that, okay, this is the best way to run this book, and this is how it can run, and puts everything into it. Basically, if you know, normally what happens is in this kind of a books is there are some pages which goes into color, or mostly I would say 95% of all the contents of the books would be in the black and white, but definitely the cover of the book would be printed in a color. And also the cover of the book would be printed in a different media thickness, like maybe it goes into 150 GSM or 180 GSM thickness, whereas the paper goes into 75 or 90 GSM paper. So that's kind of a thing. So now what it happened is it got the imposed PDF went into two different printers. One is printing on a color where they are using the coated map litho paper, and then just printing it on the cover. That's what it goes into that. The other one, which goes into a normal, maybe in a 75 GSM paper, where it gets printed, or 90 GSM paper, it gets printed quickly onto the web roll, because it's the number of pages on the book would be high number of pages, like maybe it's 100 and 150 pages. So it goes into the web so that it can print faster and it comes out. Now we have two contents. What we have is we have cover, and we also have a printed inside material or a book. We have this two different things. How do we take this to binding? Because when it goes to the binding machine, it should automatically detect the different barcodes or different mechanism to identify, okay, when they are printing each book, we are talking about each book is a different. It's not like they are printing hundreds of copies so that it's all one setup they can do. So every book, when it comes out, it's a different book which is getting printed from both the machine, and it goes to a runway or this one. So to the binding machine, automatically the binding machine, what it does is it will have some kind of a barcodes which is be attached when we are doing this imposed PDF. It will scan those barcodes and then start looking, okay, it matches, both the books matches, or cover and the text matches, and then it can say that now I'm going to accept this, and then club together and do a perfect binding. Now, when you're thinking about binding in this case, each book actually may vary with various sizes. Maybe one of them is 8x5 and one maybe 11x6. So each book varies. So the binding machine, when it reads this barcode, it not only matches with the content, but it also goes and tries to download the JDF. It's a job definition format, which is the file which is sent to any of the machines today, so that it can read what the spec of it, what should be my trim size, what should be my final book size, and how it should be bounded, what's the thickness of the book, how much should be my spine. All this information is actually fed as part of the JDF, which gets read from this binding machine, which automatically says that, okay, it calibrates or it resets the machine to that specific specification, and then it binds the book. So that gets binded very quickly and very short. So this whole turnaround makes the books to get printed very quickly with the automated workflow. Once we have this book is printed, now what it happens is the book may have a book will have some kind of a barcode to identify who placed this order, because the book is ready, but if I don't know whom I need to ship as a printer, you would be amazed to see that where it should go. So there will be some barcodes, which again, when you scan this barcode, what it does is it goes back to the order acquisition tool and says that, okay, now this is the this book has been printed for this particular order request, and this is the address, or this the, and it can print the shipping label on the fly. and then say, okay, now this shipping label is ready, which can be handed over to any of the courier person or a shipment people, so that they can actually pick this for completing it workflow. Any questions before I move to the next thing?
I think it's good, no problem.
Okay. So this is all what we talked about, the traditional printing of a books and this. So there are, again, the digital short runs are also very much into the cartoon labels. Today, many times, what it happens, I don't know how much you guys would have seen. If you have seen this Times of India, they had come up with earlier with a small app where you would be able to scan on the paper, and it is to take to the their app, and you will be able to read the content, or the photographs have been shown much more detailed, and they can see the more photographs of that particular ad. Similarly, the argument technology, what it is emerging a lot in the labeling. Today, if I go, maybe I want to buy a wine bottle, I want to see the details of the wine bottle. What I need to do is I just need to go and scan a label on the wine bottle. It will automatically tell me the details of it. It says that, okay, what does it, how old it has been, what is the content of it, and who has manufactured it, what's the cost, and all those kind of things. People just want to walk into the store, they just want to use their mobile, and then they say, okay, scan an item. They get to read all this detail. So this is what it goes into this kind of an augmented technology, which is really a good thing, especially when we go into the world of cartoons and labels, where they're actually printing all these small cartoons. And again, this is short run, because every day the content may change. Maybe the labels of the wine bottles and the content of that, or what the information they want to say, could change every now and then. That's where it goes into a different world. The other things which also gets into is about a short run on a tiles. Many times, what happens is, specifically we have seen across the globe, is people would like to print their own family photographs on part of a tile, which they can fit it onto the wall, or they may have their own photographs which they have taken, which they want to print it onto it. So they can actually go into the online store, where they can actually say that, okay, I want to select this particular tile, and this is the quantity of the tile I would like to say, and then I want this to be fitting into my 3 feet by 5 feet inches or 5 feet, so that this is the width of and length I want to fit in. Automatically, the tile, what it can do is, and also upload their image, it can actually position that and say that how that's going to look at it. And once they place an order, it gets printed on the back end on a digital machine very quickly. It's not like a traditional way where they have to print. If they want to print on a tiles, it takes ages to get printed. That's not going to be. So they can print that on the quick on the digital, and then get this out faster. The last thing which I also want to touch base is more about textile printing. EFI has many Reggiani printers where actually we can print short-run textiles. In an olden age, if a designer designs a new design, he needs to actually wait at least he needs to get an approval. He needs to do a prototype on a paper. He needs to put that onto some designs, and then look at it, whether that gets approved. Once that's done, he takes those into what I say is he takes that into a bigger production. When it goes to bigger production, it's always in huge yards. It's like hundreds of meters they have to print. They cannot print that in a short run. Today, with all this digital printing and digital technology and short runs, what it happened is people can print. If I say I would design something specific, I can just print for 1 or 2 shirts. I can get the copy printed maybe in 30 minutes, and take the cloth in my hand and start stitching it out and make it like in a shirt, and then see that, okay, this looks good or not. That's what we have many printers which is specifically specialized in doing this kind of a thing. And we also have softwares to even do how to calculate all this costing and effectively for specifically going into the textile industry. That's pretty much what I had in my mind, or just to share with you guys. Any questions or anything, open.
Yeah, I think that was very interesting. Customized printing, and that's what we've been learning almost last 2 Thursdays about how you can customize information and be able to print it. So thank you, Gurudat. Does anybody have any questions? You can put that in the box, chat box.
The class is quite today.
Oh, yeah.
That's for Michael. Guru, there is a question came from Michael. For short run textile printing, is it dye sublimation that you use?
No, Michael, it's not a dye. It's all the digital inks, but it gets used in it. Maybe I can, if I have your email, I can send you some couple of Reggiani videos which you can see. Actually, it's not nothing to do with dye.
Yeah, sir, I have one question. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when we think about one book printing, right, or book on demand, but as we can say, like I have seen this thing of press in Repro India, where they have that one book printing setup done. Like we went there last year and we saw it. But I was thinking like the small printers who have the digital printers with them, and if they want to collaborate with Amazon and start this kind of things for their own presses, like not the big presses, how beneficial it is for them to come into the business if they don't have the entire setup of binding and everything. Because in the pandemic, like we are saying, like collaborate with your vendors and get the job done. So if I'm having a small A3 printer, like digital printer of Konica Minolta, and then if I want to get collaborated with Amazon and start doing that one book printing business from my own shop floor. So will it be convenient or will it be useful for the small printers?
Again, it depends on the, because if you're saying you have only a printer and you don't have any binding machine or any other facilities within the system, you need to outsource all this. So what you need to do is, again, from where do you get the content? Because the biggest question what I see when you're going for this one book kind of a thing is, you need to have a content authorized by the publishers and then getting it. It's not just the printing part, you have to think about how it gets the contents and all this. Because if you don't have an authorization, that means it's not going to be legal and you cannot go and print this multiple times. So that's the thing. So they can do it. Again, they can automate it such a way, semi-automation they can do, where they can take this, and if you have a content approval and other thing, maybe you can create a JDF file and venture or get it with tied up with any vendor who can accept this JDF file, so that you can just send the printed book along with a JDF which they can download. When they feed that JDF information, it gets automatically binded and trimmed. They don't need to really think about the size and other information which you need to pass on verbally or in a printed sheet.
Right.
Again, it will not be cost effective, because if you're putting so many people and so many vendors, it will not be cost effective. Because right now, if you ask me, the books, what they want to print, like they would be like to printing it very less cost. Nobody wants to pay high amount.
Pay higher. Right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
So, Gurudat, what are the softwares as such? So it's the EFI workflow solutions, or is there any other workflow solutions that they can work with one book production?
When we are talking about this, specifically this workflow, there are many other softwares we'll be talking. It's not just EFI. We have to go with like, for example, when we are talking about binding machines, we may have to talk with different binding machines, which is different, which is not EFI produced. So we need to think about that. And if you are thinking about a RIP, specifically, some of the times it will be different. We have our own imposition software which we use. We have our own web to print solutions we can use. And also for making the final print ready PDF, we may have to talk with Enfocus. We may be using Enfocus in the backend to do a lot of editing on the PDF and content of the PDF. That's going to be there. And if you think about the content management, we may use Microsoft Content Management to do the integration, how to keep the file, what's the version. So it all depends on customers' need and this. It's not like we have most of the things with EFI, and whatever we have our products we use, but we can integrate to any product which has got an API or which has got a JDF integration. We can customize and integrate to them based on the need.
Right.
Yeah. And now, is it the same way when there is static data printed, like how Michael was showing us some bills, maybe bank bills or bank statements, and then you have this variable data from your. So, are there the same software solutions for these, or?
Yeah, EFI has both the things. We can actually have a static content. You can do it. We have our own variable data printing software or solutions with us, so that you can use any of those, or even if it is used by external. At the end, what we need, if you want to do the production automation, it is more about the PDF file in a right format. If we get a PDF file in a right format, we can automate and produce it in the way we want it. That's what. Especially in a one book kind of a thing, what happens is, apart from this customization of adding few additional pages or customizing a cover, the rest of the contents we can't edit it. We will not be able to edit it. So what it happens is, it's a fixed which will be sent by an author or a publisher, and you have the content ready. And even the cover design would be done by somebody already. What it is having is some place where you can actually customize it. So the if you're going in a one book or a book production, the customization becomes much more simple and easier, and variable data adding these pages is much more simple. We can even just print one page out of all the context and just attach to it and bind it towards it. That's kind of a flexibility it gets when you're going in a book's world.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Any more questions?
Gurudat, I have one question. Has EFI in India been involved with printing educational institutions like this in the past? And if so, is there an opportunity to expose the students to the software solutions and the EFI workflows that you have? Almost like, it'd be awesome to set up a lab where they get to use your tools. When they go into the industry, they become your customers. I don't know if there's been any discussions on the EFI side to do something like that.
Manish, to be frank, I'm not the right person to answer this question. So
Okay.
yeah, I think you have a contact of Sam or Samir.
Yep.
I would say he would be the right person to answer this query.
Okay.
I know in the past we did something with Manipal, or there was this one which I'm not completely aware. So maybe he would be the best person to get that and answer that.
Yeah, so I will send out an email to Sam Madra, and I'll introduce you. It'll be best to have a local discussion about this. And knowing EFI, I think they should be interested in that. And again, getting students exposed to the products before they go out is the best sales dollars you can spend.
Yeah, and since now we can also have some internships, if the students can do from home, some training, some internships. I think that also we can work out with EFI. I mean, let's see how it goes on. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess so. We were waiting for Sadie, but she didn't. I think she must be no problem. So I guess should we end then, or we have any questions, students? If you have any questions, you can still put them in the box. But Manish, as you said, I think they are a quiet class today.
Yeah,
Still not fully awake.
You have to stay awake for the conference.
Yeah, you have to stay awake for the conference, right?
I wanted to ask one question, like if the students are attending the conference, like yesterday, few of them did, like today also we have next session for the conference. I want you to tell the students how to look at the conference. What is the takeaways for the students? Like, because most of the topics are, way too far from their knowledge or their experience, and that's why, they might not understand or may not pay that much attention as such. So if they are attending the conference, what should they look out for? If you can just guide them in 2-3 points, because all those who are present today, they have registered for the conference. That much I can say.
I still remember when I started attending XPLOR many years ago. Obviously, the first few conferences, I felt lost
Yeah.
because there's so much going on, and I think there's no shortcuts. You have to just continue to attend,
Right.
and you would keep attending, and then you start to hear things. You start to learn a lot from each people talking to each other, and over a period of time, it starts to become natural because you've learned. But I would say, if there are things that that are not clear, I would suggest write it down, and then so they can either look it up or ask questions about, hey, I heard about a certain topic, and I did not understand something. It's okay to say I didn't understand. I'd like to learn more about this, and anybody, I will be happy. I know Michael. Anybody on the Explore community would be happy to help
Right.
answer any questions and
Yeah,
talk more about.
don't be afraid to ask. Okay. My suggestion to students is do what I do. I sort of nibble and I yesterday I did an accessibility panel. I did a segment on AI, artificial intelligence. I did another session on customer experience. Just sort of dip in, take a little bit of the industry, get an idea of where the industry is going. Don't be afraid. And again, don't be afraid to ask questions, because with XPLOR you're amongst friends, and there's a lot of people who are more than happy to help explain the industry to you. There's not enough people, I think, good people in this industry, and it's really exciting. I'm still very passionate and excited about it 45 years later. So to do what I do, I'm still learning as well. And Paul Abdul will say the same thing. This field is advancing so quickly and rapidly, and incredible things are happening. I learned about robotics and chatbots and in advanced analysis. The AI stuff was amazing. So it's all coming, So yeah, take a little bit across the board. Okay, that's my suggestion.
The other experience I'd share is the first few explorers I was attending, and it's one of those things, especially coming from India and the US, getting used to a new culture. So presenting, that was scary, right? But Explore was a great platform, and I started to present every year as well. I would pick up a topic and started presenting, and I did it for 3, 4, 5 years, and that helped me a lot in just presenting in general over that. So I would also encourage, as this might take time over the next few years. If you start to learn from Explore, you come up with new ideas, or even if it's not new ideas, it's common topics. Force yourself to dig in, and it's almost like doing a thesis, right? You have to do the research to then go present.
Right.
And you're really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And when you're out of your comfort zone, you're learning. So I think it's really important to get out of that comfort zone as much as possible. Do what scares you, do that a little bit. That's how you learn more, essentially.
Perfect.
Right, correct. Very true. So I think we have 2-3 people from Ballarpur Industries Limited, that is the paper manufacturing company. So just for their information, I think we have Patharkar sir, we have Mr. Khaimi, and we have Mr. Vijay Patil. These are from, there's a manufacturing unit of Ballarpur Industries, which is around 100 kilometers from Pune, near Baramati. And so they are really keen on gaining more and more information about printing and print related stuff. So they've really shown good interest in these explore activities and explore sessions which we have. So पाटील सर ऍक्च्युली आम्हाला त्यांनी हे कॉन्फरन्सचे हे दिलेत परमिशन्स दिलेत. पाटील सर आहेत का?
Only Khaini sir I can see.
I think I missed it. Okay. So, Gurudat, actually, XPLOR has allowed our students to attend the 4 days conference of XPLOR, which is for various industry professionals. But they've kind of given it free for our students so that they can attend and try to understand whatever is happening in these areas, especially in the electronic document industry.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. EDP, yeah. All right, so I think we can close this since there aren't any questions. So thank you all. Thank you so much for your time. And Manish, we can plan for the next sessions. Maybe whenever you let us know, whenever it is possible from XPLOR side. Maybe in November or December.
Right, absolutely. I think it'll be good to get feedback
Yeah.
from audiences. We got the list of new topics as well. And feedback can be what really helped, and feedback can also be what can we do better. That's equally important, right? So everybody's spending a lot of time, obviously, investing time in this. We want everybody to get the maximum out of it. So if there are any suggestions on what we can do better, please let us know that as well. And the topics, we've got lots of speakers within XPLOR that we can bring in as well. And then Madhura, lots of our alumni who are in different printing companies globally, we can reach out to them and continue to learn from their experiences as well.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Right. And I think, we can, maybe you let us know the time period when we can associate with XPLOR again in the month of November or December, whichever is suitable.
Yeah.
We'll just check on with the exam schedule at our end, and then we can have sessions like these.
Great. Sounds good.
Yeah, let us know how we can help. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. And a big thanks to Skip also for his support for all these 4 sessions, and to Paul as well.
I'll pass it on. Yes.
Pass it on. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Good. And Gurudev, thank you again for
Thank you.
last minute. Yeah. Thank you all.
It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Gurudat, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for call.
Yeah, thanks.
It was useful, and I also learned something. Thank you.
Same here. Yeah. So thank you, students. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.